want to show you what I'm doing now in AI. Because again, for me, I think I was a little slower picking up AI. It was probably a year or so in, and I wasn't doing much with it. I didn't really understand it. And I would try little things. I'd be like, hey, Chat GPT, write me a webinar. And he'd like spit out a webinar. It's like, it sucked. I'm like, oh, write me webinars if you're Russell Brunson. He would write a whole webinar, but it's a little better, but still kind of crappy. And I was like, AI sucks. And so I just kind of gave up on it. And then fast forward to, 6 months ago or so, I went to, we did an event. And I'll show this right here. This is the output of it. But I went to an event at the headquarters of Agora. And if you guys know who Agora Publishing is, they are the biggest direct response brand in our industry. They do like $1.5 billion a year selling financial newsletters. So we went to their company. We spent 3 days. We took my highest level mastermind group. We spent 3 days there with the Agora guys. And it was really cool because we spent time with them. And what was fascinating, if you look at the way the Agora's business works, they have I think they have 4 different brands. Each brand has like 6 gurus underneath it. And then each guru has like 3 or 4 copywriters, okay? And then every 6 weeks, each guru pops out a new front-end VSL. So they're popping out so much copy, so many things. It's crazy, right? And I was going there, I was like, this is insane. But like, how do you produce that much stuff, right? You think about 4 companies, 6 gurus, that's 24 gurus. Each guru has like 3 copywriters. So they're like 75 to 100 copywriters for Agora, just writing copy like crazy. I was like, that's amazing, but I can't afford to do that. Like that's I don't know how much that costs them, probably $30 million a year just to pay for the copywriters. And so when I was flying home on the flight afterwards, I was like, I wonder if I could use AI to replicate what they were doing, okay? And so I took it through the lens of like how Russell views the world through funnel hacking, right? Took it through this different lens, and I went and I spent about 4 or 5 hours building out the context. I'm gonna talk about that here in a minute, building out the context. After that, I spent about an hour writing out this script for this video. And then actually, the script turned out so good, I sent it to one of my friends who's an animator, and I said, I want you to animate this, but I want it to be all through AI. So he animated the whole thing through AI. Ended up being a 50-minute long-form VSL, and this long-form VSL right now is crushing it for us. This would have cost me, if I would have hired a copywriter, probably $40,000 to $50,000 to write, and probably would have taken 6 to 8 weeks. Again, I did the entire thing in about 6 hours. But this is from the script written by AI and the video creation done by AI. And again, right now we're spending about $1 million a month into this video profitably. It's like it's crazy. This is crushing it. So after this happened, I was like, okay, I have a formula now. I want to do this faster. And in the last 4 or 5 months since I did this first one, I have a whole production team right now. We're pumping out long-form VSLs, ads, email sequence, everything at record pace because AI has sped up the process so quickly. So that's what I'm going to show you guys. Yes, cool if I just kind of walk you guys through my process. Okay, so you guys are cool. Okay, so it keeps popping my Facebook feed. If the ad keeps showing up, you know it's working, right? Okay, so this is how I view the world. So when I'm going to create something amazing, so the first thing I need to know is the output. What is it supposed to look like when it's actually done? Okay, that's step number 1. So that could be anything. That could be like again, Armor More. Like when I was funnel hacking Armor More back in there, I was like, here's 8 sales letters for software. That's the output. So when I'm creating something, it needs to look like that. That's what the output's supposed to look like. Okay? When I was doing the VSL, that Secrets of Propaganda VSL, the first thing is I spent time trying to figure out, like, what do I want this to look like? I don't want to say, write me a VSL, and it's going to like just pump out garbage. I'm like, I need to figure out exactly what the best thing is, right? So I got to figure out what is the output I want it to look for, okay? And I'm going to go and I'm going to find as much context as possible to plug in here to the output. Okay, and I'm sure you guys have heard the word context a lot over the last couple of days here at the event. But the rule of thumb that I've learned is for every 1 word that you want coming out of AI, you have to put 500 words of context in. Okay, so I did that the Bernays Secrets of Propaganda VSL. I spent 5 or 6 hours just getting the context into AI, and then 1 hour writing it, okay? So that's the ratio. Like for every 1 word output, you have to put 500 words in, okay? So all the heavy lifting happens up front, okay? I'm gonna do a whole bunch of stuff before I ever once ask it to create anything, okay? So first is the output. I'm gonna go deeper in this, but then number 2 is then the context, okay? So now I know here's the output of what it's supposed to look like to be correct. Then I need all the context, all the stories, the ideas, the concepts, like everything, all the context about it I need to have. And the third thing is then now I need it to capture my voice. I need it to say it correctly the way that I would say it. So it doesn't sound like somebody else. It actually sounds like me. So these are the three things that make this whole magic trick work for me. Okay. Okay. So, let me go a little deeper. So let me come back. So the very first is output. So let's just say I did this demo for my internal team. I was showing them like writing a webinar. So I was like, okay, if we're writing a webinar, we know the output, like what it needs to look like. And so the first thing I did, I was like, okay, well, I have a training program called the Perfect Webinar on how to do webinars. So I took my Perfect Webinar training and I transcribed it and then I threw it into Claude. Okay. So now it has my training. But then I was like, I want to give it more context so it does the output correctly. So then I found 3 webinars that I had done in the past that all done over $10 million. So I knew the structure was really good. I transcribed all those and I added those into the output, right? So now it's like, here's the teaching of how it works. Here's 3 times it actually worked, okay? Then I have a back-end $10,000 coaching program teaching people how to create a webinar. So I went through, I took every single training from the entire program and I put that in there, okay? So now, AI has all of this context. It knows, here's the training how to do webinar, here's 3 times Russell did the webinars, here's the entire coaching program that goes slide by slide by slide by slide. So now it has all the outputs. So it knows exactly how it's supposed to be structured based on everything that it just learned from me, okay? Like I'm literally putting in, again, if you look at the coaching program, everything, it's probably, I don't know, 50 hours worth of stuff that I'm putting into here, okay? So that's step number 1. So now I'm like, now it knows exactly what I want. So now the output's gonna look the way I need it to look and to feel, okay? Number 2 now is what's the context, okay? So for context, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna find videos and articles and stories and everything I can that's gonna be the stuff that's going to be weaved into the output, right? So for example, when I did the Secrets of Propaganda video, I was trying to find a whole bunch of stuff. But one of them, I went to YouTube. There's a documentary called The Century of Self. So this is a 4-hour-long documentary telling the story about Freud and Bernays and how they all work together. So I was like, there is the context I need. If I'm going to be telling this long-form VSL, telling the story, like, I don't know all the stories about these guys. I know some of the stories. I don't know all of them, right? So what I did is that when I got this 4-hour video, I transcribed it, I have all the context, right? Now I add that to the AI. So now AI knows like, oh, here's the entire 4-hour documentary telling the life story of Freud and Bernays and how the whole thing worked, right? So now it knows the story. But I didn't just do that. And then I went and I found every podcast about Bernays. I found every, in my video, I talked about Dan Kennedy. I found all the Dan Kennedy stuff. So I found as much context and stories and examples and everything possible, and I plugged that into AI, okay? So now AI has, number 1, the entire output of what it's supposed to look like when it's done correctly. It has all the context, has all the stories it needs to weave into the thing. And then the last one is voice. It needs to learn how to speak like I speak if it's going to be a VSA about me, right? And so what I do is I upload me speaking from stage. I'm saying, this is me speaking from stage. Listen how I do my stories and my cadence and how I talk, right? Here's books I wrote. Here's articles. Here's videos. And so I'm putting in as much of my voice as possible, okay? Here's like 5 podcast episodes of me speaking about these things, okay? Now, once I have these 3 things, this is the big trifecta, then I can create magic, okay? And this is where then I'm like, okay, hey, help me write a webinar now, right? That's like, so I'm 5 hours in and now I'm finally asking AI to help me to start writing something, okay? But not until it has all the output, all the context, and all the voice, okay? So most of my time what I'm doing is I'm literally finding videos, I'm transcribing them, and I export the transcripts and I plug them in, okay?